Hey guys, so today I'm going to share with you a beginner's guide for planting fruit trees. I've planted about a half dozen apple trees on this side of my property and about a half dozen other trees on the other side of the property. Here are 15 things I've learned that you want to keep in mind if you're going to plant a fruit tree. Number one, don't plant too deep. It's tempting to want to put the tree down below the surface level so you can pile on more dirt to surround the trunk here, but don't do that. That could create rot and hurt the tree. Number two, if you're going to use mulch, use the chemical-free kind of mulch, the natural mulch that doesn't have any dyes. One reason you want to use mulch is it helps prevent your roots from getting too dry. It helps to retain that moisture and also prevent them from extreme heat so they don't get burned. Number three, ideally you want to buy trees from a nursery, not in containers like this. You can buy trees online where they will ship them to you, where it doesn't have any soil, it just has the roots bundled up, and they ship it to you in the mail. The reason why you don't want to buy trees in containers like this is that the tree can become root bound, where the roots can start a pattern doing spirals around the container. So I'm not following that advice right now, but ideally that's what you'd want to do. Number four, prune your fruit tree to your desired shape and size. So while this tree might grow to be 20 feet high and have a diameter of about 20 feet, you might not be able to reach 20 feet up or want to climb a tree or get a ladder to be able to pick the fruit from your apple tree. And so a lot of orchards and others will cut their fruit trees to size so that way they can pick them easier. Number six, plant your fruit tree in direct sunlight. Most fruit trees need direct sunlight for their fruit to properly ripen and mature. And so if you're going to plant a fruit tree, you probably don't want to plant it in the middle of a bunch of big trees. You need to plant it in a kind of a more cleared area. Number seven, plant your tree in soil that drains. Now this also depends on the variety of tree you're planting, but it seems like most fruit trees have on the instructions to plant them in soil that drains well. Number eight, one thing to know about fruit trees, and this is kind of an obvious thing, but if there's flowers on your fruit tree, likely that will mean that the fruit tree might produce a fruit that year. Number nine, dig a hole that is 2 to 3 times wider than your container if you're planting from a pot. That gives the roots ample room to kind of stretch out a little bit before they hit up against the hard wall of the hole. Number 10, to help the roots penetrate the walls of your hole, you can take a shovel and kind of gouge the sides of the hole to help the roots penetrate the whole wall. Number 11, when you're planting the tree and you take it out of the pot, like so, see, this tree is a little root bound, so I like to try to straighten them out if I can into little roots like this. And I heard one lady at a nursery explaining how you can kind of stretch these roots out in different directions and pile soil on them. So what you have is you have a diversified root base where you have roots going in different directions that are also spaced at different heights. And that should give the tree more stability in the long run. Number 12, you don't necessarily need to compact your soil very much after you put the soil in around the base of your tree. It can be really tempting because you want the tree to be secure, to stomp on it really hard, but that's probably not super necessary. The soil will naturally compact when you add water on it afterwards. Number 13, it seems like most fruit trees can grow to about 20 feet in diameter. And so you probably want to space out your trees about 20 feet apart from each other, maybe a little more if you want the tree to grow into its full mature size. Now, a lot of orchards and other people don't do that, so you can plant them closer together and you can trim them, but if you want it to grow to its fullest size, you'll want to give them some adequate spacing. Number 14, make sure that you have trees with which your fruit tree can pollinate. So a lot of different kinds of apple trees and other fruit trees require that you have at least more than one of those same kind of tree or another kind of tree that can kind of cross-pollinate. And you want to have those trees, you know, somewhat close to each other, within 100 feet of each other, because if it doesn't have a pollinator, then your tree is not likely to produce any fruit. Some fruit trees are self-pollinating, in which you don't need to have that. Number 15, ideally don't use stakes. If you don't use stakes, your trees will wobble in the wind. It can help strengthen your trunk and also the root system. If you want to make your tree stand up vertically, it might make sense to use some stakes in the beginning to kind of help straighten it out. Or maybe instead of having 3 stakes, pulling it right in the center, maybe just have a couple stakes to kind of hold it from moving one direction. And number 16, it can be a little bit of a pain to water the fruit trees all the time in the summer if they're planted out in the middle of a field and your hose doesn't reach that far. So what I would recommend doing is getting a gallon jug like this and pinpricking a couple holes in the bottom of it. Maybe once every other day, you can fill up a gallon of water and put it at the base of the tree. That will keep the roots nice and moisturized and help the plant grow strong. I hope this video has been helpful. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.